Welcome back to Taiwan Outlook. Our guest today is Mr. C. Wan Huang. He's the Vice Chairperson and the President of Greater China of Investment Banking of Polaris Financial Group. Mr. Huang, we've been talking about Taiwan's banking sector. But as you mentioned, that China market would be a market that everybody would be competing. And apparently, Taiwan's financial and banking sector has some advantages in managing the China market. What are our advantages?
Well, for one thing, the Taiwan, China, it's the same language, same ethnic origin. That is a tremendous advantage. And then also, I think just by focusing on the Taiwanese in China alone, we're not talking about the Chinese customer yet. We're just talking about Taiwanese in China alone. That is a big enough market, both from the private banking, wealth management, investment banking, the asset management. If you just look at commercial banking, if you just look at that market alone, that creates lots of opportunities. And then also that I think Taiwan is strong in the service, financial services, as well as training. The China market is so big, so people never really need to talk about service. You have to back the banks, to get, to open an account. But Taiwan is excel at the service. So I think in those areas that, we needs the service and financial industry definitely is one of those areas. I think Taiwan is at the advantage. Of course, in the past that may not be the case, but as China also moving into a more competitive market, they need to offer value-added service, tailor-made service to their customers. Right. This is the area Taiwanese can come into the picture.
But as we know that Hong Kong banks and Singaporean banks are there already, in comparison with those banks, are there any disadvantages that Taiwan has?
I think definitely. The Taiwan banks in the past or Taiwanese, we are lagged by the scale, and also that due to the political reasons in the past, we don't really have a greater China mindset. There are many Taiwanese don't treat China as their home market, but in the future, we need to treat China as our home market, and then also that as these we have a look at the China market, they are also more international. So the skill set to operate, the internationally is also very important. And some of the Taiwanese financial intermediaries, maybe their focus in the past is too much about Taiwan. So their international understanding as an international service need to be enhanced. So we definitely face strong competition. But the advantage of Taiwanese companies, these are we work very hard, and we are very nimble, very flexible, and very willing to address the needs of the customer. So I would say that, and plus there are so many natural, Taiwanese customers in mainland China. So I would say that compared with them, we still have a chance, to pick up in the mainland China market.
For the past decade, China always enjoyed a double-digit economic growth. But there are different views about the future prospect of China's economy after the Summer Olympic in August. What's your view on that?
I think China is also need to find a new way to adjustment. In the past, China's success model is a low-cost global manufacturing hub, and many of which are contributed by Taiwanese. But you are now seeing China also upgrading itself. They still do manufacturing, but they want to do higher value manufacture. But on the other hand, there's also huge enough China domestic market, so they want the economy to be driven by the domestic consumption. Taiwan company does have an advantage. If we look at the food and beverage sector, some of the largest company, Uni-President, Ding Yi Noodle, and Wang Wang are all run by Taiwanese. So the domestic consumption market is one area we shouldn't overlook. And then also we are looking at China now. They also want to develop their own technology, to compete globally. You are seeing Chinese companies like Lenovo's acquisition of IBM. So China company also have their new ambition. They are finding new way. All of these, I think, is bring China to a new area. So we may continue to see the rapid economic growth, but albeit at a slower pace. But the key thing is the the composition of it will be less driven by the manufacturing export, will be more from the domestic consumption as well as from innovation, technology. I know China is being one of the leading economy in the world, is very focused in certain areas. For example, the clean tech, the technology, and as well as anything which is the energy saving. Those are the futuristic, the areas, are gonna be the new driver.
Yeah, but China also wants to develop its own financial sector. How does that affect Taiwan's financial banking sector and also the regional financial sector?
There are certain aspects of the China financial sector. They are ahead of Taiwan, and there are certain others. They are lagging compared with Taiwan. China's the investment banking sector is now ahead of Taiwan. 15 years ago, when I was in China, that's not the case. But you have seen many gigantic Chinese companies, PetroChina, China Telecom, listed globally. So they under Chinese underwriter work with international security investment bank. They have gained a very good understanding. The brokerage area, the wealth management area, they are still a long way to pick up. Everybody in the past is just scrambling to trying to open account, but there are no service. But in the future, I think as China get more sophisticated, they need to have a service. And the service is one area. Taiwan is ahead of
But how long
China.
is the time lag? Is China catching up?
China is definitely catching up. And the third area is financial innovation. Taiwan is also ahead. So China doesn't have the financial futures market. It is still very much a retail-driven market. And the Taiwan, we at Polaris, we have the largest futures company in the Greater China, and there was a very good trading as well as dealing technology. So in that aspect, Taiwan is ahead of China. So I think it is complementary. Taiwan, in the past, it's more open, so it developed, the technology. But Taiwan, the market technology cannot be just applied on the Taiwan island alone.
That's right.
It's just 23 million. If we will be able to export the technology to China, to elsewhere, I think the future prospect of Taiwan's security industry as well as banking sector industry will be brighter.
As you mentioned earlier, that innovation is very important, especially for the investment banking. In addition to ETF, what are other products you are providing to the customers?
Yeah, we are these days structuring, something, for our clients. We use a lot of private equity. You see that there is a new phenomenon of private equity, many private equity. It is estimated that in 2007, there are $200 billion private equity funds being raised to invest in Asia, primarily in China and India. But China has now unofficially blocked these private equity because China's attitude is that we don't need your money. We have domestic money. We need your technology. We need your know-how. We need your talent, your people. So lots of these money are now turning into Taiwan. So that's why last year there are 5 Taiwanese banks, being bought out by the foreign private equity funds, and there are 3 Taiwanese cable television, being bought out by foreign private equity funds. There are 4 deals in the last 2 years with a size over $1 billion. So that means there's an international money turning into Taiwan. So what we are doing is to help these international private equity money, which Taiwan hasn't seen before, to invest into a company and help to Taiwanese company to do 2 things. One is to consolidate domestically. Another, more interestingly, is to expand globally by making acquisitions in EU countries, in the United States, buying technology, buying brand, buying a global marketing distribution channel to really uplifting the Taiwanese economy as Taiwanese competitive strength to a new level.
So that's a win-win situation for both the buyers and the local company here.
Yeah, no, we help those people to spend their money, and then we also help the Taiwanese companies to go out and to compete globally.
How about in terms of creating jobs in Taiwan? How does that kind of acquisition help or hurt the job market in Taiwan?
Well, consolidation definitely hurt the job market in Taiwan. Taiwan, if there's anything, is excessiveness. There are too many people. There are too many of everything. the banking sector is overcrowded, the security sector, the insurance sector, everything is overcrowded. Yeah. So how do you digest? I think we got to find new market to expand regionally. As I pointed out earlier, Taiwanese, despite all of these strengths, competitiveness, are not good at expanding into other markets. Yeah. So we need to apply the skills in mainland China. We need to adapt the derivative skill in Singapore. We need to help Taiwanese company in Vietnam to find creative means of raising money, and we need to develop better wealth management market in Hong Kong. So I think all of these talents need to find new way, otherwise new markets. Otherwise, it is with all the consolidation going on. I think there's certainly more streamline, going on.
But in terms of human resources or talents, you just mentioned that, do we gain enough, competitive talents for this booming and very competitive financial market?
I think we are there. We haven't done enough. I think these days the most challenging one is to find the talent who can operate in other markets. So we find many people who are very good in one market, in the Taiwan market alone. They are excellent wealth manager in Kaohsiung. They are a very good securities underwriter in Taipei, but they are less effective in Shanghai, or they cannot function in Singapore, and that ought to be changed. I think we need to learn how to operate, and then we need to learn work with the others. I think there's many, as I mentioned earlier, interesting investment banking angles. Taiwanese company want to embrace the world, want to go out, and the international money want to come into Taiwan. So this is we are moving into a new era, new dimension. These experience we haven't witnessed before. So people need to focus into those directions.
That's right.
As a new way of boosting growth.
Apparently, internationalization is very important for the future success of Taiwan's financial sector. So when we come back, we'll talk about how can Taiwan be more internationalized in terms of banking sector.
Okay.
And stay with us. We'll be back after these few moments.